And let's define luxury, shall we? Because it sounds very much like, let's see. I'm not an expensive car. I'm not a designer handbag. Obviously, with luxury here, what I want to convey is that when this person thinks of you, they think of something valuable, something they want to achieve, something they want to take care of, something they want to preserve. And many times we mistakenly believe that this is closely tied to physical appearance. If you knew, and I'm telling you in confidence from me to you, how many people with an enviable physique, truly enviable, suffer terribly in love, often because of people who don't have that physique. Because in the end, the physique is the showcase. That is, it's the initial hook. Those people, obviously, I'm not going to lie to you, a person with an enviable physique is going to receive attention quickly. Attention from many and diverse people. But once they interact with you, the way they are going to treat you is not determined by your objective physical appearance, but is much more linked. In fact, it is closely linked to the regard you have for yourself. If you want others to see you as a luxury, it's not enough to just appear to be a luxury. You have to treat yourself, treat the relationship with yourself, the relationship with others, the esteem you have for your time also as a luxury. Because otherwise, at first they might believe that you are a luxury. That is to say, they will see you and say, wow, this person, if you are someone who takes care of themselves, who maintains themselves physically, who takes care of their clothes, who takes care of their appearance. But as I say, that's just a facade. In the end, as soon as they start dealing with you, if you really don't have that consideration, you will convey it. And they will start treating you differently. That is to say, the favorable treatment at the beginning will not be the same later on. That's why I tell you that I advise and have advised over the years people who are physically incredible and who did not receive the treatment that, from the outside, one might expect they would receive. But to make this easier to understand, let's give some guidelines, some ideas, some behaviors that will allow you to apply them directly. The first thing is to understand that if I want now to be a luxury for others to perceive me that way, I am not for everyone. Attention. The mindset is me. In your own way, me. By conscious choice, I know, before getting to know anyone, that I am not for everyone. Because obviously, if I am a luxury, I am not within everyone's reach. So, when it comes to meeting people, I know in advance that there are many chances that any person I meet will not click, but that's because I will be the one to filter. Many times when we are upside down, when we are at a point in life where we are a bit eager to have a partner, others, far from perceiving us as a luxury, perceive us as desperate. Why? Because our eagerness to have a partner makes it so that when we meet someone, our attention is solely focused on being good enough for this to work out. And we desperately want any person who comes into our life and has shown interest, and there might be mutual attraction. We want at all costs for this to work. It's like I want this to go well no matter what, because there has been attraction and I really want to have a partner. So we are in the opposite situation. We are questioning ourselves. We are trying to prove ourselves, and I want this to work. On the other hand, when I go with the mindset of, I don't know if this is going to work, and it's likely that it might not, because I'm not for everyone. It's not easy. You have to show me that you have what it takes for me to want to be with you. That is to say, I have to get to know you. I have to see a series of things from you. I have to see enthusiasm, interest. In other words, I value myself a lot because I know I'm a luxury. So at the first sign, I'm neither going to give you a yes, nor will I make myself available for everything. And the one I'm analyzing is you, to see if you are worthy of being with me. And this, as I say, is based on the assumption that there are many chances that you won't convince me. It's very likely that you might have behaviors that I find do not meet my expectations, and I am more than willing at that moment to terminate this, to leave it here. So, when I meet you, My mindset is not that I have to do everything possible to make this work, and if not, I get stuck. My mindset is I'm going to get to know you, but I know it's very likely that I will move on from you because you have to prove that you are up to the standard and not just anyone is up to my standard. So from the very first moment, as you can see, I have a different mindset. My goal is very different because, believe me, we mentally commit a lot to the outcome, and that influences the entire process in how it unfolds. The next thing I need to learn, to make it more my own, to adopt more as a habit, is to say no. There are people who really never say no when they meet someone. They don't even stop to think about it. They see it as normal. It's like, but if I like this person, why would I have to say no? Because it is the refusal that will emphasize that access to you is complicated. That is to say, if I want to be perceived as a luxury, obviously, I have to completely forget about making it easy. I have to do the opposite of making it easy. If someone wants to see me, they have to fully adapt to my availability. And ideally, that way of adapting should first involve receiving a refusal. That is to say, this person suggests, hey, how about we meet on such a day? Well, instead of clearing my schedule, which is perhaps what I'm used to doing on other occasions, when I'm very excited, it doesn't matter. I can move it. It's not important. It does matter. It matters in terms of how this person perceives you. So if you have something, and ideally you should have it, and we'll talk about this later, if you have something, you don't move it, people move for you. So the best way for this to flow without manipulation, for this to flow organically, is that you have a fairly busy schedule. That is to say, you value your time. And because you value it, you don't just wait for someone to fill it. Time with you also matters. And you value the time with you, and you value your plans. So, in my free time, I assign myself things that I like and leave certain or co-important slots open, and I don't change them. If I meet you, I'm not going to change my class for that. I don't care if the class is no. You will have to find the time to fit into my schedule. At least, obviously, we talk about all this in that they perceive you as a luxury at the moment of meeting, of falling in love. Then, as we start establishing a relationship, we will have to become a little more flexible. But be careful. If you want the person to continue treating and caring for you like a luxury, you shouldn't fall into the trap of, well, now that I've won you over, from now on. No, it's not about making a 180-degree turn, right? But obviously, within a couple, there is more consensus, more flexibility is reached. But at the beginning, your dynamic, if up to now it was, stop to analyze yourself, right? How have I set things up? If this were a game, what level of difficulty does someone who knows me, who contacts me, face? At the moment I meet someone and there's flirting, do I wait for the person to contact me, or do I take the initiative and send the first message? When the person talks to me, do they always have access to me? That is, if they send me a message and I immediately respond, no matter what time of day it is, it doesn't matter if I'm working, it doesn't matter. If I have my phone, I'm immediately available. I'm willing to chat as long as this person wants. So in the end, it depends on them when we communicate and when we don't. That is, I adapt. I am the one who proposes, who orchestrates. I let this person suggest and arrange meetings. I make it easy, forget completely about making it easy. There are times when the person even suggests, hey, look, I'll come pick you up, or I'll come to the area where you are. No, don't worry, it's fine. What are you doing? How do you expect this person to perceive you as a luxury? But the way you want to do it is, I'm going to ingratiate myself with you by making it easy. If something is easy, what do I associate with? Think about the mental association of words. If I have to do an exercise where I have to associate words, easy brings to mind something free, something simple, something I will value little, something that comes and goes just as easily. Of course, because it was easy. So you have to understand that the degree of difficulty influences a lot. And meanwhile, there are studies that have proven that people assign a higher value to what costs them. That's how it is. So completely forget about diminishing the person's efforts and do more to encourage them. Try to make it challenging for them. Don't even choose the time slot that suits them best. Try to make them rearrange their schedule. Try to make them travel. Make it cost them, because they will do it and then they will have to justify that effort. And the way they will justify it is by attributing a certain value to you in their mind, in their mental framework. That's how we are. So, if I want someone to perceive me as a luxury, I cannot allow them constant access to my time. I cannot allow things to go the way that person wants, but it doesn't mean I have to take the lead. That is to say, no, I don't allow everyone, because there are two options here. Either I take control, I take the reins, then obviously I make it easy because I orchestrate everything. Or I let this person orchestrate it, then I have to do everything when this person wants or can. No, there is a middle option, which is learning to say no. That is to say, I am not going to propose, I let you propose to me. And when you propose, if it's not on my terms, it's a no. And this again is a bit of a filter, as I said at the beginning. But, Amanda, there will be people who won't want to. Yes, not everyone is going to see you as a luxury. The question is, do you want to have someone in your life who, when they look at you, feels deeply fortunate to be with you, who will take care of you, who will do everything for you? Well then, you have to behave like a luxury, and there will be those who can or are willing to pay the price and those who are not. That's why when you meet someone, you don't go with the expectation of wanting it to be you and you at all costs. You go with the mindset of wanting someone by your side who realizes that I am, because I am a luxury. In other words, we shift the focus of attention. It's no longer about the other person, it's about me. And it's about having someone by my side who has that concept of me, who is willing to pay the price. No. If at my first no, they no longer have the desire, if I don't make it easy and they lose interest, they are not for me. And that's okay, as we said at the beginning. I know I'm not for everyone, and that's why I'm willing to leave this here. That's why a brief note, I must say that this video, to apply it with someone you already have in mind and with whom you've decided you have to be yourself, you can try. But it's very complicated for it to work, because it's, let's say, the opposite. What we're talking about today is a mindset that I want to acquire if I realize that in the end, I'm meeting people who don't value me. I get involved in relationships that lead me nowhere, and in the end, I often feel very bad and very frustrated, and each time I lower my standards more and things turn out worse for me. It's like saying it's over. From now on, I'm going to have the right mindset, which will probably mean that for a while I might not have a partner, and that's okay. But I prefer to wait and connect with people who value me, rather than having the company of people who use me as it suits them, or who will later kick me to the curb. So what happens? If I already have this in mind and I've become obsessed, I want it to be you. It's you who is seeing that person as a luxury, which makes it much more difficult for you to be able to carry all this out and for this person to also perceive you. If it's true that I want to say this video is more about how my love life is going, I like how it's going, I'm a bit tired of not being valued, so I'm going to start valuing myself as I believe is necessary. I'm going to set my price high because I want someone by my side who, above all, has the desire, the interest that I already want. I want a mature relationship with someone who commits to me, and not only that, as I said before, feels lucky to be with me. So, of course, if I already have my obsession set on someone, if for me it has to be you no matter what, and every sacrifice is little, you already see that person as a gem, and you are the one they're chipping away, then it's complicated. The next thing is, of course, to be a luxury, you have to master emotional control. It is an essential requirement. And again, I refer you to what I mentioned before. I believe that if today you are with someone who is not valuing you, you should seriously consider closing that chapter, making a closure, and saying, I'm starting this from scratch. Because these things work very well if we have that mindset, if we acquire it and practice it from scratch with someone. especially if it's the first time in our lives that we are going to behave this way, right? Even with someone. If you don't have much feeling, it might be difficult for you. So imagine if it's someone you have idealized, it's practically impossible. So I would say, okay, it's over. You don't value me. I'm giving you zero contact. Who knows what might come from that? And from there, I'm going to meet new people and put this into practice. And as I say, emotional control is essential. And everything goes along the same line of, I meet you and I'm aware that nothing might come out of this. That also helps a lot because it controls other things. It's not the same as meeting you and immediately getting excited, indulging in fantasy. It's more likely that I'll idealize you, fall in love with the idea of you, and end up getting hurt, compared to meeting you knowing that it's very likely you might not be able to handle what I need to see, the cost of being with me, the effort. So I won't go in. With such high expectations, I won't have that illusion, and I won't fantasize about you as much. And I will have emotional control in many areas, meaning I won't chase after you. I will arm myself with a lot of patience. I will let you come to me. I will enter receiving mode. I want to see what you bring. And to the extent that I see, and if I like what I see, I will reciprocate. Knowing that at any moment, if I feel that you step out of line, my reaction will be to cool off and withdraw, or even cut things off just like that. That is to say, we start talking, I see that you seek conversation with me, that this conversation seems genuine to me, I reciprocate. If you start having shallow or meaningless conversations, where it seems like when you talk to me, it's just to say something, hey, but I'm not looking to get to know you and I'm not convinced, I stop responding. If I sent you a message and you haven't replied yet, I won't write again. I'm not going to seek you out. I'm not going to chase you. I will have patience. That you contact me again, if you take too long and I feel that this doesn't make me feel comfortable, I leave it as it is. Do you understand where I'm going with this? In other words, emotional control. When I see things I don't like, instead of triggering an anxious attachment and feeling like I need you and chasing after you because I don't want to feel bad, I quickly remind myself that I no longer have that mindset. How is a luxury going to chase after you? Impossible. So I have that patience and I simply realize, okay, are you not making me feel valued? Because those behaviors ultimately mean that. That is to say, if a person has contacted me, has seen that I reciprocate, and has the option to stay in touch but doesn't, they are not perceiving me as a luxury because they are having an opportunity that they don't want to take. So if I value something a lot, I am not going to miss the opportunity. So when faced with missed opportunities, lack of interest, or when I see the weekend approaching and you don't suggest meeting up, and when you tell me, it's not that you have big plans. No, it's that you prefer to clean the car or take a walk by yourself rather than meet with me. Well, look, if you prefer to take a walk alone rather than try to meet with me, you won't meet with me. That's the mentality. That's why when I meet someone, I don't get my hopes up because the fact that you are physically attracted to me and want to meet, or that you are physically attracted to me and want to start getting to know me, are still very early stages that don't prove anything to me. And since they aren't proving anything to me, I don't allow myself to get my hopes up. That's the mentality. We believe it's very important how we conduct ourselves once someone has entered our life. And it's really much more important whom we allow to land, whom we let in, with whom we are willing to start opening up, to become vulnerable, to get our hopes up. The one I was going to is very important, truly. And the more you esteem yourself, the more you value yourself, the higher you set the price, the better. Well, I hope this video is helpful to you, that you liked it. If so, and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, of course, I invite you to do so, to hit the bell, because I would love for us to see each other again very soon. And until then, as always, I send you a big kiss.